This time around we're taking a rather large leap into the Arc 5 era to take a look at an archetype with a unique approach to synchro spamming along with an impressive draw power. They were used by this fellow right here, but it goes by the name of Jochiro. And yeah, aesthetically this archetype is those Japanese art-styled paravans that they used in ancient times, depicting various monsters and various famous monsters throughout the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! In a very interesting way. So yeah, let's get started and get started with their first monster, Flower Cardian Pine. It's a level 1 warrior for some reason, with 100 attack and defense, and if this card is normal summon, draw 1 card. Show it, then send it to the graveyard unless it is a Flower Cardian monster. You can only use its effect of Flower Cardian Pine once per turn. If this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, or if this card is in your possession destroyed by an opponent's card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can draw 1 card. Yeah, you never run 3 of these. It's their most basic monster, which requires the entire deck to work, and yeah, usually the deck is functional if it doesn't work with any less than 3 of these. So yeah, summon by 1 for 1 if you ever so desire, even though I wouldn't advise it that much since it doesn't get its effect off. And the draw effect, while it might be specific, specific when it requires you to send it to graveyard if you do not get the Flower Cardian monster by this draw. Don't worry, this deck is mostly filled up all the way with these Flower Cardians, so yeah, this effect is not too dead on its own. Next up we have its upgraded version, Flower Cardian with Pine. Yeah, the summoning conditions of these things mimic cards getting stacked atop each other, so yeah. So yeah, this can be normal summoned or set and must first be special summoned from your hand by tributing 1 level 1 Flower Cardian monster except this one. And yeah, this obviously refers to the original Pine because it's the only other level 1 beside this thing. So anyway, if this card is special summoned, draw 1 card, and if you do, show it. Then you can special summon it if it is a Flower Cardian monster, otherwise send it to the graveyard. At the end of the battle phase, if this card battled, draw 1 card. And yeah, as you can see, it's a level 1 with pretty gargantuan stats for a level 1, 2000 attack, nearly the Mechlord stats over there. But yeah, this thing won't see battle that much, but it's a very nice utility effect to have. And yeah, as you can see, this is the prime gimmick of these so-called Flower Cardians, drawing cards whenever a condition is fulfilled. So yeah, Crane is a good one, and yeah, you should definitely run it. Next up we have Flower Cardian Cherry Blossom with Curtain. And yeah, this one's their first level 3 with 2000 attack and defense, and also cannot be normal summoned or set, and must first be special summoned by its own effect. You can reveal this card in your hand, draw 1 card, and if you do, show it. Then special summon this card if the drawn monster is a Flower Cardian monster. Otherwise send it and discard to the graveyard. During either player's damage step, when your Flower Cardian monster battles an opponent's monster, you can discard your battling monster gains 1000 attack until the end of this turn. Take a notice here, because this is the only card with this effect, with this battle boosting effect, and it's mainly not used for that effect alone. So yeah, you basically want to get as many monsters on the field. Yeah, basically it's very easy for Flower Cardians to fill up the entire board already with 5 monsters, and then go into a Link monster or a Synchro monster, as we'll later see on. So yeah. But this one is a bit more, how should we say, on the stale side, because it requires it to be in your hand, and then you need to draw a card, and if it's a Flower Cardian, then you can only special summon it. While it would be greatly appreciated if you could summon the card you revealed was a Flower Cardian monster along with it. So that makes it a bit too flimsy in my opinion, but still worth running at least 1. Next up we have Flower Cardian Peony with Butterfly. It's a level 6 with 1000 attack and defense, and it's a tuner this time around. Cannot be normal summoned or set, and must first be special summoned from your hand by tributing 1 Flower Cardian monster except itself. If this card is special summon, draw one card, and if you do, show it. Then if it's a Flower Cardian monster, you look at top 3 cards of your opponent's deck and place them on the bottom of the deck in any order. Otherwise, send this card to the graveyard. Send the card you drew to the graveyard. When this card is used for a synchro material, you can treat all other synchro materials monsters on the field as level 2 monsters. And thank goodness for that effect, that last one, because synchro summoning with this archetype would be with the game equivalent of finding Jesus otherwise, because they have very, very flimsy and unpractical levels for synchro plays, so that effect is actually a very welcome addition. And if you have you usually have 3 other Flower Cardian monsters, you can go into their level 10 synchro, which is one of their better monsters. So yeah, this thing should always be ran at 3 at all times. And then next up we have its upgraded for Flower Cardian Clover with Boar. And cannot be normal summon or set, must be special summon from your hand by attributing 1 Flower Cardian monster, except Flower Cardian Clover with Boar. If this card is special summon, draw 1 card, and if you do, show it, and then if it's a Flower Cardian monster, you can destroy 1 monster your opponent controls, otherwise send it to the graveyard. A simple actually removal effect. However, this does not target, so it is actually a very nice effect, since most my cards have protection from targeting, and non-targeting destruction removal is very good at that point then. And yeah, this is their only level 7 monster, so yeah, let's get going on to the next one, that being Flower Cardian Zebra Grass. And yeah, all of them are warriors for some reason. I still have no clue, I'm still befuddled why that is. And while you control a level 7 or lower Flower Cardian monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. Also, you cannot normal or special summon monster for the rest of this turn except Flower Cardian monsters. If this card is normal or special summon, you can reveal any number of Flower Cardian monsters in your hand, shuffle them into the deck, and then draw the same number of cards. Okay, so this is actually a very, very formidable monster, since it offers a special summon, one of the easiest methods of special summoning. As in, if you control basically a monster of any level through 1 through 7, you can basically splash it onto the field, no problem. And it has a simple yet effective archetypal magical mallet effect, which is also very nice, since you can get more Flower Cardians, exchange some of those who you might not need at the time, so it's pretty damn serviceable and it's borderline nice. Next up we have its upgraded form, that being Flower Cardian Zebra Grass with Moon. And this one cannot be normal summoned or set, of course, and must first be special summoned from your hand by attributing 1 level 8 Flower Cardian monster. Be forewarned, Zebra Grass is the only level 8 besides this thing. And yeah, if this card is special summoned, draw 1 card, and if you do, show it. Then you can special summon it if it's a Flower Cardian monster, otherwise send it to the graveyard. Once per turn, if this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can draw 1 card. Also a very nice beater, and yeah, it's a somewhat better version, in my opinion, of Pine with Crane. So yeah, it's a... However, Pine with Crane is searchable with 1 art though, which is a very welcome addition in Flower Cardians. So yeah, it's all a matter of preference, even though their effects are almost the same with the draw power. Definitely worth running this thing. Next up we have another upgraded form, that being Flower Cardian Maple with Deer. This is our level 10, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 11. No. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Cannot be normal summoned or set, must first be special summoned from your hand by attributing 1 Flower Cardian monster except this thing. If this card is special summoned, draw 1 card, and if you do, show it. Then if it's a Flower Cardian monster, you can destroy 1 spell or trap your opponent controls, otherwise send it to the graveyard. Basically the boar Flower Cardian, except for back row, and it's a non-targeting removal, so hey ho, this also another very nice card. Next up we have Cardian Willow, and yeah, this is a level 11, that was a level 10. Damn, my brain doesn't work sometimes like it should. And while you control level 10 or lower Flower Cardian monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. Also, you cannot normal or special summon monsters for the rest of this turn except Flower Cardian monsters. Once per turn, you can target one Flower Cardian monster in your graveyard, shuffle it into the deck, and if you do, draw one card. Simple yet effective recycling effect. Nothing wrong here. No problems at all. And yeah, draw power is also very strong with this archetype as it is now. So yeah, this is a very nice effect to have. And next up we have its upgraded version, Flower Cardian Willow with Calligrapher. And this one cannot be normal summoned or set. It's a tuner and must first be special summoned from your hand by triggering one level 11 Flower Cardian monster except Willow with Calligrapher. And if this card is special summoned, draw one card. And if you do, show it. Then you can special summon it if it's a Flower Cardian monster, otherwise send it to the graveyard. When this card is used as a synchro material, you can treat it and all other synchro material monsters that have a level as level 2 monsters. So yeah, this is actually the exact same effect as what was the previous one called, Peony with Butterfly. Yeah, except this one is a bit higher level and it requires a bit more setup to work. But still, this is the only other tuner the archetype has. So yeah, variety to spice it up. I always say yes to that. So yeah, also has very nice stats for. Well, I mean, they are perfectly okay stats for Cardian monsters, so yeah, it's a nice card overall. Anyway, let's move on to their next card, Flower Cardian Palowina. You can while you control a level 11 or lower Flower Cardian monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. Also, you cannot normal or special summon monsters for the rest of this turn except Flower Cardian monsters. When this card is targeted for an attack, you can negate the attack in the battle phase and then draw one card. Without a doubt, this is one of the most versatile attack stoppers in the game, as it can strictly as it has an attack focus, an attack negation effect which strictly ends the battle phase and allows you to draw one card. However, it does require some setup, as this card itself has to be attacked in order to apply this effect. But there are also workarounds, like cards that restrict the opponent into attacking a card with the highest level and the lowest attack and stuff like that. So Palowina's effect can be experimented with, so yeah, you should always definitely run a few copies of it. And the last main deck monster is its upgraded form, Flower Cardian Palowina with Phoenix. Cannot be normal summoned or set, must first be special summoned from your hand, but triggering one level 12 Flower Cardian monster except Flower Cardian Palowina with Phoenix. And if this card is special summoned, draw one card, and if you do show it, then you can special summon it if it's a Flower Cardian monster, otherwise send it to the graveyard. Once per turn, when this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, draw one card. And yeah, this is a bit of a more restrictive version of the previous two that allowed you to draw one card after they battle, because this thing specifically states that you need to inflict battle damage if you want to draw a card, and not to mention that it has to be this card specifically. And yeah, if it were a tuner, then I would appreciate it more, but it's not. So yeah, not was so worth running as much as all the other ones. Alright, now moving on to the synchros. First up we have Flower Cardian Bordafly. This one is a level 6 warrior with the same stats as most high attack Flower Cardian main deck monsters. It requires a tuner and specifically 2 non-tuner monsters. And if a Flower Cardian monster you control attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing damage to your opponent. Once per turn, you can banish one Flower Cardian monster from your graveyard until the end of your opponent's next turn. Your opponent cannot activate effects or cards in the graveyard, also cannot special summon monsters from the graveyard. So yeah, the piercing effect is, mediocre at best, but at the cost of banishing one Flower Cardian monster, this thing can apply the Necro Valley effect, which is pretty damn powerful in today's age. So yeah, not to mention it's fairly easy to summon, since yeah, you only need 3 monsters. Peony with other 2 Flower Cardian monsters can easily be searched out and summoned. So yeah, it's all around a very decent card and worth 1 or 2 copies in the deck. Next up we have another level 6, however this time it's a tuner monster, that being Flower Cardian Moonflower Viewing, and has the exact summoning requirements as Borderfly, and once per turn during your main phase you can draw 1 card, and if you do, show it. Then if it's a Flower Cardian monster you can special summon it, ignoring its summoning conditions, and it can attack directly this turn. If you activated this effect, skip the draw phase of your next turn. When this card is used as a synchro material, you can target all other synchro materials that have a level as level 2 monsters. The main difference between the main deck tuners and this one is that this one does not treat itself as a level 2 tuner, which sometimes might cost you the game, but overall it's a nice ability to have, since you sometimes need a bit of a higher level monster to make your plays. And as for its first effect, I kind of don't like how you have to skip the draw phase of your next turn. And yeah, there is a certain other card that also lets you skip your draw phase in order to do something else, but yeah, that one is miles better. So yeah, if you run this, you probably don't run it at any more than 1. And as for that next card that I mentioned, that is this thing, Flower Cardian Light Shower. It's a level 10, no, it's a level 8, sorry, what am I saying? It's a level 10 with 3000 attack and defense, requires 1 tuner and specifically 3 non-tuner monsters. And this one is actually very good. Your opponent cannot target Flower Cardian monsters you control with card effects, and those monsters cannot be destroyed by card effects. During your opponent's draw phase, if they draw a card for their normal draw, inflict 1500 damage to your opponent. Once per turn during your opponent's end phase, activate one of these effects. Either skip the draw phase of your next turn, or this card has its other effects negated until your opponent's next standby phase. Yeah, most of the time you're going to be picking the first effect because you really don't want to negate this thing's effect because they're just that good. It burns opponents upon drawing them. It's basically a better Lotzian, the Time Lord. And it offers protection on your Cardians, which other Cardians do not do in the slightest. Yeah, this is the only card in the archetype that offers any protection, so you shouldn't just take away its protection effect that easily. Alright, moving on, their final monster is Flower Cardian Light Flare. Also a warrior with 5000 attack and 0 defense, and requires 1 tuner and specifically 4 non-tuner monsters. And during your opponent's turn, during either player's turn, when an opponent activates a spell or trap card, you can negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. If a Flower Cardian monster you control battles an opponent's monster, that opponent's monster has its effects negated during the battle phase only. If this face-up synchro summon card is destroyed by battle or leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect while its owner controls it, you can special summon 1 Flower Cardian synchro monster from your extra deck except this thing. So yeah, this is its floating effect is one of the easiest way how you can bring out Light Shower, and its other effects are actually very decent for a boss monster, especially for this era. So yeah, this one gets a passing light, although it can be a bit too hard to summon since it specifically requires 5 monsters in total in order to bring out. But anyway, it's very decent, so at least 1 shouldn't hurt. Alright, moving on to their spell and trap lineup, which help out this gimmick immensely. First up, we have Flower Stacking. Choose 3 Flower Cardian monsters with different names from your deck and place them on the top of the deck in any order. During your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target 1 Flower Cardian monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. You can only use each of this effect of Flower Stacking once per turn. Now, this serves us to set up the deck in order to trigger the effects of Flower Cardians when they're drawn, and to work in the conjunction with the next spell card we're going to be looking, that is Super Koi Koi. Excavate the top 3 cards of your deck and special summon as many Flower Cardian monsters among them as possible, ignoring their summoning conditions, but their levels become 2 when they have their effects negated. Banish the remaining cards face down, and if you do, you lose 1000 life points for each. You can banish this card from your graveyard and tribute one monster. Special summon one Flower Cardian monster from your hand, ignoring its summoning conditions. You can only activate one Super Koi Koi once per turn. Okay, so yeah, this is all around a very nice card if you're planning on building a very heavy synchro spam deck and you don't care about the about gimmicks of the Flower Cardian monsters. It can even be used if you're planning a rank 2 spam build or a heavy link spam build. So yeah, this thing should always be ran at 3 along with flower stacking. It's just that good. Moving on, we have Flower Gathering. Special summon 4 Flower Cardian monsters with 100 attack and different names from your deck in attack position. But they have their effects negated, also they cannot be tributed for a tribute summon, and you can only activate 1 Flower Gathering per turn. You cannot normal or special summon other monsters during the turn you activate this effect except Flower Cardian monsters. At first glance, as you can see, this is a one card version of the flower stacking in Super Koi Koi. However, it has some upsides and downsides regarding that. Its upside is that it allows you to summon up to 4 of them. But the downsides are obviously they all have to have 100 attack, and they cannot be tributed for a tribute summon. They have to be different names, and yeah, you can of course activate 1 per turn, and it does not have even a banish effect. So yeah, if you run all the previous ones at 3, you shouldn't go with 2 or 3 of these as well. 2 should be perfectly fine in my opinion. In their final spell card, we have Recardination. Target 1 Flower Cardian monster in your graveyard added to your hand. Then you can special summon 1 Flower Cardian monster from your hand, ignoring its summoning conditions. If this card is sent to the graveyard by a Flower Cardian monster's effect, you can excavate the top 5 cards of your deck, and if you do, add 1 excavated spell or trap from your deck to your hand. Place the remaining cards on top of the deck in any order. I mean, you're mostly gonna be using the first effect of this thing, as underwhelming as it is. And yeah, nobody's gonna be using the second effect because triggering it is damn near impossible if you're playing this deck like it should be played. So yeah, but at least they made you search out any spell or trap. Basically, it's a Curry Bandit without the sending stuff to the graveyard effect. So yeah, if you run this at all, you don't run it at any more than 1. And finally, their last card is the continuous Trap Fraud Freeze. Once per turn, when your opponent special summons a monster from the hand, except during the damage step, you can return to their hand all monsters your opponent controls that were special summoned from the hand. If neither player controls a Flower Cardian Synchro monster, send this card to the graveyard. Yeah, this card is basically a death sentence to all Pendulum players out there. However, the cost is to be having a Synchro monster all the time. So yeah, Light Shower is the most applicable target for this thing to keep it on the field. And as for that, it's not very searchable in the archetypes, so it shouldn't be run at any more than 1, even though the disabling effect is actually pretty good. If you really feel like it, then run 2 of them. And just like that, we've made it to the grades. Now, consistency, I have to, from the bottom of my heart, give a 3 out of 3 because the way they have their amazing draw power even rivals Fortune Ladies. It's not that perfect, but it's pretty damn close to the level of threat it can offer to your opponent, as much as Fortune Ladies have. So yeah, 3 out of 3, even though it's not perfectly perfect. So listen to me. Now, power is a very tricky subject to touch upon these things because their power is strictly limited to summoning their Synchro monsters, and those are not always very accessible. Yeah, especially when you're not building a Synchro spam deck with these things. So yeah, it's a very debatable subject, but they have potential to hit very, very hard. So I'll be generous and give him a very generous 2 out of 3. Comeback ability, yeah, these things can come back from pretty much everything. They have access to Jar of Avarice. Pot of Dichotomy is not very applicable to them since they only have warrior type monsters, so something along the lines of Transmigration Prophecy might help as well. So yeah, they have a pretty decent pretty decent comeback ability as well, so 2 out of 3. Now protection I have to give a 1 out of 3 because the only form of protection they have is just light showers, targeting immunity and effect destruction immunity, and not to mention that you sometimes can't even summon light showers. So yeah, I would have loved if they had more forms of protection as versatile as light showers is. Now for the versatility I have to give them an honest to God 3 out of 3 because the way how they can special summon themselves and they have access to plentiful draw power makes them a severe threat if you're building a synchro spam deck, a link spam deck, any other deck, rank 2 spam deck if you're heavily relying on super koi. So yeah, another experimental deck because of its gimmicks, and those experiments can pay off as we learned from certain FTK's deck in the past. So yeah, and just like that, we're done with Flower Cardians. Yeah, this was the longest archetype for now I have prepared. Now for the tomorrow's video, it's not going to be an archetype analysis, even though I started recently watching Reigns. I'm at episode 18. I watched the first 18 episodes so far, and it's okay. It's nothing I didn't expect. So yeah, I'll probably when I get to my first Reigns archetype analysis, I'll probably say more about then. But as for tomorrow, like I said before, it's going to be quite a surprise. So yeah, it's not going to be an archetype analysis, and it's going to be a bit of a special video since tomorrow is the final day of my spring break. What the hell is going on? Why? But luckily, I still have 13 days to go until I finish high school. Wow, that time of the year has come already. That time of life. Well, anyway, this is it. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned for more videos, requests, and updates. Comment, like, and subscribe. And as usual, I'll upload the next part whenever I can. See you all. Have a good day, and peace.